Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guest is a Tony-winning performer and comedian. She's written and performed in multi-character solo shows on and off Broadway. Today, she shares her latest hybrid doc narrative, Sell by Date, inspired by the critically acclaimed multi-character off-Broadway show. The film explores the sex industry and her own personal relationship to it. Here now to share more is Tony-winning performer and comedian Sarah Jones. Hi.
Hi, I'm so glad we get to do this. I want to say like trick or treat. I can't give you anything over the camera, but you know.
That's okay, honey. That's okay. You already know before we got on, I said, you just give me a little bit of your multiple characters and I'll be good. That'll be my treat.
Well, that's right. So we talked before. Hi there, everybody. I know I'm talking to the whole Bronx and beyond. My name is Lorraine, and Sarah Jones is the very nice young Black performer who you just met. She calls herself Black. It's fine. Anyway, we're so happy to be here. And I said to before, I says to Rhina, I said, it's going to be like Halloween, but with voices instead of costumes. She's got both. So you win.
But today I'm, the duality is I'm Linda too. I'm Linda. So now, Linda.
You're both. So, I relate to the multiplicity for sure. And it's kind of fun to get to, have the characters who are in the movie still have a reason to come out and bring out their costumes, so to speak. So they're all here. They can't wait to play.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet them with time, but I do want to talk a little bit about your style in which you've chosen to do this because, and I also love that you identify it as an unorthodox.
Right, it's a documentary, but it's a doc, but it's not a typical doc, so it's an unorthodox. That's yeah.
I like that language. And so I wanted to mention that the style in which, and we're going to show you guys some clips of it, in which you actually were able to incorporate your characters, do interviews, and kind of like meet these individuals who are in the industry. This fusion of a sort, you've won some awards already. So let's talk about why this approach.
Yeah, well, I had done an off-Broadway show called Sell by Date, where I play all these different characters, right? They have all these opinions. We all know the sex industry exists, but we all kind of pretend it's not there. Or we go watch, when I was a kid, Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts in her thigh-high boots. And it was kind of not really the whole story. It was like a Cinderella fairy tale, but you're like, wait a minute, I don't know. And then, right? And it's like, well, what is true? And you see all these different sides of it, but none of it really captures how much it's connected to all of our lives. So I had the play. And hi, it's so good to be here. My name is Bella. I totally don't want to take up too much space as a white woman. So I'll just probably end it right here. But I just want to say that I'm soups available to put my white body on the line for, okay, let's calm Bella down. Because she's right there. She's right there, ready to be apologetic about her privilege. But the truth is, in the play, I wanted to get at all the different angles of what do people think? Is it empowering? Is it something they're ashamed of? Are they afraid? The stigma, the slut shaming, all the stuff that the truth is, it's as American as apple pie, the sex industry, right? The guy who used to occupy the White House, Stormy Daniels, hello, right? It's very connected, porn, all of it. So I wanted to talk about that. And in my play, I got to do it as multiple characters. And then when it was time to make a movie, I wanted to reach more people than you can in an evening of theater. I was exhausted, 8 shows a week. I'm tired, so I was kind of let's see if I can make a film that captures a lot of these ideas. And when it was announced that I was making the film, a whole new kind of reality opened up around who has the right to tell these stories. I'm not a sex worker myself. I'm not a survivor myself, whatever people call themselves. How can I be of service to a conversation instead of culturally appropriating? So all of that is in the film that I hope people will see. It's comedy, it's drama, it's real life. It's a documentary with, the real life mixing with some fictional elements. Yeah.
So is there any particular reason you chose this topic? Like, is there a personal reason behind it?
Yeah, I hope people will go and see the film to like learn more, but I have my own personal connection to this topic for sure. And I believe a lot more people do than we realize, right? Like as people have been seeing the movie, I'm getting like DMs and emails from people like, my wife told me she stripped in college to like pay her bills and she never told me, you know, or I never knew, you know, my grandfather, the way he was able to come over here is, you know, this happened with my you know, my cousins and blah. It's like, oh my God, this is, you know, and then I started to realize between actually the time when I first started my career and I taught poetry workshops on Rikers Island and encountered girls and women who were being treated like criminals when really they should have been treated with care and respect for, you know, what they had been through. So it's a whole range of like why I felt like this topic is so urgent. And I'll say this, we were just protesting like 2 years ago in the streets about, you know, Black lives and making sure we talk about the value of life and that we don't as a society want to marginalize and devalue people. And yet with this one topic, it's almost like we're willing to pretend that, you know, people who work in the sex industry, mostly women, don't have any value. What the hell? So I wanted to really examine all of that and try to do it in a way that opens up a conversation.
So what do you think, or rather, what was your goal in bringing it in this light, right? Because it's one thing to have a conversation about it, it's one thing to create a story around it, but it's another thing to actually interview people who are in it. So by doing that, you're now giving it more of an authentic voice, right? And so you kind of merged, you know, these fictional characters, and then you added this documentary style, and then this interview aspect, this journalistic approach. So what is it like that people are going to leave with having experienced all of those dynamics?
Yeah, well, the film is inspired by the play. It's not an adaptation of the play, but the play was sort of an interview style. It was very important to me to say, hey, these are the stories of real people, brilliant people, powerful, funny, strong, courageous women in the sex industry themselves. Maybe they, you know, chose it for one reason or another, or they ended up in it, didn't choose it when they were young and they're surviving. There were so many compelling stories that you don't hear if you just watch an episode of SVU and you see a bunch of trafficking victims, but you never hear their voices or hear their story. So that was always a part of it. But then when it was time to make the film that was inspired by the play, I knew that I had this incredible opportunity. When it's just me on the stage, I try to embody, you know, all the different voices. I'm thinking of Nereda, my character, who's, hi, I'm so excited to be here. I can't believe she didn't bring me out earlier, but I actually have some roots in the Bronx and I'm half Dominican, half Puerto Rican, all proud. But anyway, I don't want to, you know, take up too much time, but I just want to say that like, there's a lot of different perspectives that we want to hear about this. And we don't just want to hear from like, you know, one white woman over here or one person from this or that, whatever, one cisgender, blah, blah. We want to hear from everybody. Anyway, so Nereda is in the film, and the idea was to help people come away from the film feeling like they have heard lots of different opinions. They've learned something they didn't know about this topic, including, like I said, how close it is to all of us. I don't know if anybody else has ever, you know, a wholesome family goes out, watches a football game, and then goes to Hooters for some wings. There's a side of some sex industry with your wings, right? But we all pretend. So it's sort of like we're not being honest as a society about how much it affects us, how much is part of our lives, our kids' lives, our families' lives. And I just want us to have a more honest, open dialogue. So that's what I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And so before we go, we got to share, you've got some nice names attached to it, right? You've got Meryl Streep as your executive producer.
Yay! Mama Meryl. I think so. Meryl has been such a helpful, powerful amplifier throughout my career. She was part of how I think I was able to get on Broadway and, you know, do my shows in the first place in that kind of arena. And when she offered to put her name on this project, it was game changing for us because this project centers women and femmes of color. Okay. It's about the sex industry more broadly, but it's also about women, sex, power, racism, you know, immigration stat. All of this stuff is impacted by the larger issues in our society and how they filter into the sex industry and really women's sex and power more broadly. This is connected to Roe v. Wade. This is connected to, you know, every issue that we're dealing with right now. If you look at the sex industry and the hierarchy and the power dynamics, it all kind of lines up. So having Meryl, huge, because we get to talk about things that wouldn't normally be able to be mainstreamed, right? And then it's incredible to have people like Rosario Dawson and Bryan Cranston, you know, these wonderful stars using their power to be part of the fabric of the interviews that I get to conduct in the film. So I feel very fortunate to have all the folks connected to the film.
Well, we're very proud of you, and we congratulate you. And we do thank you for making sure that you come and visited the Bronx and contributed your talents to our generation of upcoming performers and writers.
You know, I was joking earlier, but like for Halloween was good, y'all. My name is Rashid. I'm the only dude Sarah Jones brought with her. You know what I mean? I'm from Brooklyn, but I done my time in the Bronx. You know what I mean? Great concourse. Let me say this right quick. Sarah Jones wanted to tell people she lived in the Bronx. She was in Co-op City, son. Don't let her feed you nothing. Don't fall for that. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Rashid is also in the movie, and he's so proud that we got to be here and chat to you. And so am I. As a proud Queens girl, I have my own Bronx roots too. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, Sarah, all I can say to you is, how do you control them all? They all come out whenever they feel like it.
They do whatever. I feel like an Airbnb and the guests are just bursting. Listen, I'm not controlling any of this.
Once again, we thank you for bringing it to our viewers. I understand that the film, aside from winning all these awards and making the film circuit, the film festival circuit, I understand it's going to be available through streaming devices now.
Yes, so people can pre-order right now. Go, not yet, not until you finish watching this episode. But after that, you can go stream, pre-order for streaming on Apple. And starting November 8th, you can have a watch party right after you have voted you-know-who's out of office. So it's going to be a great day. November 8th, we'll be streaming. But you can pre-order now.
Oh, Sarah, we love you. Can't wait to have you back, you guys, once again. Sarah Jones, Tony winning performer and comedian. Sell by Date is the film we were just currently discussing. It is in theaters now. And for listings, you can visit sellbydatefilm.com. Stay tuned. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.